Hi, my name is Michelle Ray, and I'm here to basically send a plea, not only to my community, but to my country. Because when a video about a cat catching laundry can go viral, this issue and an issue with this important should be able to go viral. So I'm going to ask you first of all to make sure that when you're done listening, that you share this and you post it to your page and you send it to anybody and everybody that you can think of that might need this information. I want to share a quick story about my daughter. About a year ago, when she was in 3rd grade, she was an excellent student, wonderful grades. Every single time she had a report card, she was either improving or already at an A. Her teacher said that she was doing wonderfully every time I met with her at every quarter. Towards the end of the year, I gave her the option whether or not she wanted to sit for the FSA, the testing that they do every year, or if she wanted to use a portfolio or a report card to prove that she was a proficient student and able to go into 4th grade. A lot of people don't know that the law actually allows for this. Most districts and schools won't tell you that, and they won't give you that option. But the law is what the law is, and it does allow for it. And those were the options we were choosing. With a lot of back and forth and a lot of details in between, the school decided that even though my daughter was an honor roll student and had done very well throughout the year, and had never shown any signs of any reading deficiency, that they were going to refuse to let her go to the 4th grade. They decided that because she didn't sit for the FSA, and we had opted to use either a report card or a portfolio, because we made that choice under the current law, they were going to dig their heels in and not allow her to go to the 4th grade. With a turn of events, I was forced to put her into private school, which has been a pretty significant financial burden on my family. Private school is upwards of $10,000 a year, and I don't know many people that can just come up with that on a whim. So we've had to do that and pull together as a family to try and make sure that that happened, but it certainly wasn't what we had planned. My daughter had to give up all of her friends. She had to give up the benefits that a public school does have. The orchestra she had already been accepted to, the different art groups she wanted to do, the fact that she wanted to be a safety officer when she was old enough. She had to give up all of that because the school refused to let her go to 4th grade. Myself and other families across the state faced the same situation. A district and a Department of Education that would refuse to educate our children at the grade level that they had earned. So we decided to band together and go to Tallahassee and take on the Department of Education and the districts that were represented by the different parents. In a turn of events, we had a wonderful, favorable ruling from a judge in Tallahassee that noted all of the areas that the districts and the Department of Education had actually broken the law with these students and actually ordered that they be allowed to go into the 4th grade. Sadly, a lot of these districts refused that order. They actually stood at the door and told the students there wasn't a place for them in the school. Why a school would refuse to educate a child at a level that they had earned is beyond me. And we would find out sooner or later that this went much deeper than whether or not our children got to go into 4th grade, that there was way more to this than anything we could have imagined. After a very favorable ruling from Tallahassee, of course the districts and the Department of Education decided that they were going to appeal the decision based on change of venue. What they wanted to do was be able to separate us parents from being able to come together as a united front and go to the crux of the problem, which is the Department of Education and how information is disseminated and interpreted from the Department of Education down to the districts. They knew that if they could separate us out, we could each fight in our own districts and come up with 5 or 6 different answers and different rulings from the different districts, in which case we would basically change nothing. We would do nothing but maybe win a case for our child. It wouldn't change the law, it wouldn't change things moving forward, and it wouldn't protect other kids from being affected by this law that has so many flaws. So of course they went to the appellate court, and in a very strange turn of events, the appellate court decided to rule in favor of them and change a venue. We found it very interesting that a lot of things were written up in the appellate ruling, which is all public record, that were issues that weren't even presented to the appellate court. We watched the live stream of the appellate hearing, And you could tell at the beginning of the appellate hearing, that hearing was over before it began. Our attorneys weren't able to get a word in edgewise. We knew that money had won out. We knew that they were going to silence us with the appellate court and with that ruling. In our gut, we knew that at that moment, there was a really good chance that money, politics, and everything behind all of that was going to win out over children. Alright, so you might be asking yourself, why am I still watching this and what does it have to do with me? In all reality, this case has way more precedent that can be set than many cases that I've ever heard about. What the districts have done and the Department of Education, they have set a precedent with that appellate hearing that basically sets this lineup that if you ever wanted to change a law, defend your family, defend your kid, defend anybody, defend a group of kids, defend special needs, defend any amount of diversity. If you're going against a group that has a head with multiple divisions, this appellate ruling essentially sets the precedent that you can't take them all on at once unless you have a direct link to that Department of Education or that main head that you want to go against. The precedent that is set here can affect hundreds of cases, not even just education cases, but hundreds of different cases that go into a court hearing every day. If we allow this precedent to be set just so that the districts and the Department of Education can cover up such a flawed system, for what reason, we don't know, essentially, it ruins cases down the road. If you're an attorney, you can see where I'm going with this. If you're not, you can probably see it, but we've basically been drowning in legalese for the last year, so I've got a lot better understanding about it than I would have a year ago. But if you're an attorney, you for sure can see what this precedent sets. We want to change that ruling. We want to go back to that appellate court. We want to request a Supreme Court hearing in Florida. We want to fight them. We're willing to fight them. My child will be going into 5th grade next year. There's no retention law in 4th. There's no retention law in 5th. I don't believe that there's another retention law in Florida until you get to, I think, 10th grade. This ruling is not something that's going to change the past for my daughter. But it can change the future for other kids, and it can change the precedent that is set for cases that may not even have anything to do with education. This case will be one that's talked about in courtrooms for decades. The precedent that this case sets, whether we win or we fail, will be the only determining factor of which precedent is set. As far as education goes, if we are to win this ruling, if we get back into Tallahassee and we are able to take on the Department of Education and we are able to take on the districts, which we are fine doing, they don't scare us. If we can get back to Tallahassee and we can fight them face to face, not using this appellate ruling as a way to get us off of their shoulders, if we can get back to Tallahassee by winning in the Supreme Court in Florida, then we can set the precedent that you can't judge a kid on one test. That one test shouldn't determine whether your child is deficient. When I had to put my daughter into private school, she tested at almost a 7th grade reading level. Yet I had to tell her that her school would refuse to send her to 4th grade. And you know what they told me? They couldn't prove that she didn't have a reading deficiency. And as a mom, that pisses me off. And it should you too. I get emotional because that's my child. And nobody wants anyone messing with your child. So I'll take every one of those suits in the Department of Education and every suit in the district. I'll take every one of them on. If I had to do it by myself, I would. But luckily I don't. I'm standing with a group of amazing parents that are willing to fight, not only for our own kids, but for yours. In this video, you'll see the GoFundMe link that will help us with the legal fees that we have to have in order to go on. We have an amazing attorney that is fighting despite the fact that we haven't been able to pay her what she deserves. We can't keep fighting, and we can't take advantage of her kindness. But we can't do it on our own. And a precedent will be set, one way or the other. And whether or not we have people that get behind us and support us and help us fight this is the only determining factor on what precedent will be set. If you'd like to make a donation, please click on the GoFundMe link that we have provided in this video. Should be in the comments or the header of the video. We've also provided the attorney's direct mailing address if you prefer to send something directly to her and avoid any other fees that might incur due going through the GoFundMe. Please do. We'll take anything and everything. No amount is too small, and our legal fees are upwards of $100 grand right now, and we haven't even filed for Supreme Court. We need help. We'll fight the battle. We'll stand on the front lines. But we need the support behind us. Thank you so much.